Have you ever wanted to design a room or a project and you get overwhelmed and you don't really know where to start? Same. We have all been in the position of wanting to design a room or a makeover, and you get all of this inspiration and you get overwhelmed and you can't fully pull it off. We've all been there. I have developed a process that has worked for me for years. It worked in my fashion design days. It's worked in my interior design days that I'm going to share with you today. It's a step-by-step process. We're going to talk about every little single detail so you can pull off your next big project, because you can do it. You just got to get through the process. Phase 1, this is the inspiration and information gathering phase. Now we're going to talk about both ends of the spectrum. If you know exactly what you want, if you know your aesthetic, you know all the details, and then also if you don't know what you want, or if you like everything and you don't really know how to make it cohesive, I'm going to show you some tricks on how to find exactly what it is that you want. When you're in the inspiration gathering phase, let your creativity and your imagination go wild. Search everywhere. Anything can be an inspiration. Go on Pinterest, go on Google Images, look in magazines, photographs, screenshots you've saved on your phone, textiles, swatches, color chips, paint chips, anything that inspires you, just save it. We'll get to that in a second. So when you're gathering your inspiration images, you're gonna have kind of two categories. In the one category, you're gonna have like the overall mood, the vibe of the space that you wanna create. Not necessarily the items in the photograph, but just like the essence of what that photograph is portraying. And then you're also gonna have images of the specific details that you want to incorporate, like specific tile or specific fixtures, specific items that you want to incorporate in the space. So have a good mix of both of these categories. One of the biggest pitfalls to avoid during this phase, and I am definitely guilty of doing this myself, is please try not to let budget constraints or space limitations hinder your inspiration research. Some of you might be like, Whitney, I live in a 300 square foot studio and all of my inspiration images are of $20 million mansions in the Hamptons. Don't worry, we're gonna get to that in phase 2. Now, once you have all of your inspiration images, put them all in one place. Now, if you're doing this physically, print them all out, have your magazine tear-outs, lay them out on your desk, on your bed, on your floor, but don't glue them down to a mood board just yet. If you are working digitally, you can use Photoshop or Illustrator. If you do use Illustrator, make sure you embed your images so you don't lose them in the file. If you don't have access to Adobe products, you can use Canva. Canva is an online, basically free version of Photoshop. Fantastic resource. You can also try Milanote. I've tried Milanote before. It has some really fun capabilities, but I've never really purchased the full package, but it is a great vision boarding tool if you are a visual person who likes digital products. Check out Milanote. I'm not sponsored, but Milanote, if you're watching. So to round out phase 1, now that you have all of your inspiration images gathered and in one place, get all of your information gathered and put it in the same place as well. So if you're redoing a room, get measurements of the floor plan of your room. If you're doing window treatments, get measures of the window treatments. Get all of your information of the space that you're working in, so you have all of that together with your inspiration images. Phase 2, this is finding your theme and your overall vision. This might be my favorite part. So now that you have all of your inspiration images gathered and in one place, wherever that is, look at everything all together and then find an overarching theme. What you're gonna wanna do is pick 3 words to define the overarching theme of all of the images that you've gathered. Not 2 words, not 10 words, but 3. And the more different, they don't have to matchy-matchy, but the more different, the more interesting your space is gonna be. Now that you have your overarching theme and your 3 main words, look through your images again and find the best images that really embody those 3 words and put those to one side. Just really pick the really, really good ones that are the heart of the words that you selected. The other images that didn't quite make the cut, put those off to the side. Don't get rid of them just yet, but put them off to the side. So you have 2 separate piles of inspiration images. With the pile of images that you have that really embody your 3 words, you're gonna go through each specific image and you're gonna write down why you were drawn to that image. Going back to my previous example of living in a 300 square foot house and having a $20 million mansion as your inspiration image, what is it specifically about that image that draws you to it? Is it the clean lines? Is it open space? Is it that chandelier? Is it the mahogany desk? Is it the newness of the space? Is it the history of the space? What is it exactly that you like about it? And write that down. Because a lot of the time, when we're drawn to an image, it's not necessarily the items that are in the image that we want, it's the overall feeling, the vibe of that image that we're trying to recreate. because these are the emotions and the feelings that you are going to incorporate into your design. Now, if you want to take this step a little bit further and get to know yourself a little bit better, I highly recommend doing this. It might get a little bit emotional, just keep in mind. So you just went through all of your images and you asked yourself the what, like what do I like about all of these images? Now you're going to ask yourself the why. So why do I like that $20 million mansion? Why do I like that lush patio? Why do I like that master bath with a clawfoot tub and dim lighting? And why do I feel like that is missing from my life? That mansion might represent that you want to become financially free and you want your space to reflect that. That lush patio and garden might mean that you crave being outside and you want more family time to be able to sit together around a fire pit. That master bath with the clawfoot tub and the candles might mean that you just need some personal time and you need to focus on self-care. Sometimes we can hyper focus outwards and fix our space, fix our stuff because we think that's going to make us feel better, when we really need to turn our attention inwards and give our souls and our beings what it is that we need first. Because sometimes you might not need to renovate your bathroom. You might just need to like go for a walk. Sometimes we don't need all of this stuff. We just need to create our spaces in a way that reflects our overarching theme of the things that are important to us. Some of you might think this is a little woo-woo or a bunch of baloney and you're just like, I just want a pretty living room. That's fine, take it with a grain of salt. But I think if you do this exercise, you're gonna learn a lot about yourself. So now remember, we are still in phase 2 and we were just working on that pile of photos that are the 3-word specific. Now that you have all of your call outs circled, all of the colors, all of the accessories, all of the things that you like about these photos, you're gonna take a step back and you're gonna edit. Pull things out that you are no longer connected to or that don't fully fit with your theme. Pull duplicates. Let's say you have 2 images of a color that you like. Keep the best one and just edit it down to the raw essentials. So now that you have your edited pile and your newly found cohesive vision, you can visit your discard pile. Go through there and see if there's anything that's you feel like is missing in your vision. You can add them in, see if they add to it or see if they make it more confusing and muddy it up. If they make it confusing, don't add it in, but if it does add value, put it into that newly found vision board. Now, once you are confident in those choices, make it a permanent thing. Glue those babies down, download that PDF, make it your vision board that you are going to reference when you get to the purchasing phase here in just a little bit. Because now it's a real life thing, it's tangible, it's a commitment, and you can execute it. Phase 3 is priorities and list making. Take your vision board and look at your home and see if you already have things that are on your vision board that you can just kind of tweak or repurpose in a way that can move you towards your end goal vision. Now, this is the point where you can get creative, especially if you're on a budget. If you're really wanting that $10,000 mahogany desk, but you already have a $25 pine desk, you can just stain it up and wrap those legs in some faux leather, make it look like a $10,000 desk. You already are using something that you own. You don't have to purchase something new. But if you do, you have the money for it and you want to buy that $10,000 desk, this is where you're going to start writing down the purchase items. Something to keep in mind when you're taking an inventory of the stuff that you already own, you're going to be repurposing into your new vision, is that it doesn't necessarily have to be exact to what you have on your mood board. So let's say on your mood board, you love color and you have this pink velvet couch that you absolutely adore, but you already own an olive green couch that you absolutely adore as well. It's not necessarily the pink couch that you want, it might just be the pop of bold color that you want. So you can keep that green couch and add in that pinky color that you're drawn to in throw blankets, in throw pillows, in artwork, in coffee table books. You can add that color in here and there to kind of make that vision a little bit complete, but you're not spending on a brand new couch. So now that you have a full inventory of the things that you're going to keep and incorporate into your new vision, you're gonna make a little spreadsheet, a little list that has 3, maybe 4 columns: to keep, to buy, to sell, and then if you're on a budget, to DIY. And now you're gonna go through your list and prioritize what is most important to you. And if you're on a budget, you can set these up in different phases. If you're having anything custom made, definitely purchase those first because the lead times on those can take months, maybe up to a year, especially right now. And any bigger items, more expensive investment pieces that you're gonna be purchasing first, you're gonna want to have those decisions and those purchases made so you can design around those, because those are gonna kind of dictate how the rest of the space is gonna go. Also, if there is an item that you've had your eye on for a long time that you know you can't live without, especially if it's a piece that you're gonna be designing your space around, definitely purchase that soon, because it could either be discontinued or it could go out of stock and there's not going to be a restock. Buy those so you don't miss out on that, because then you might have to start back at the beginning and start reconcepting your vision board, which if that happens, it's okay. It can be done. But if it's something that you absolutely know you are going to buy, buy it. Moving on to step 4, which is tracking your progress and continuing the design. Now, take pictures of what you are keeping and add those to your mood board. Take pictures of also of what you're purchasing and add those to the mood board. Something I highly recommend to do before you make any purchases is add the picture either digitally or physically to the mood board and make sure it is cohesive with your vision that you already have going on, because there's nothing worse than loving something, buying it, getting it in, and it actually doesn't work in the space. You can save yourself that disaster, do a little bit of work on the front end, add in those images of what you're going to be purchasing to make sure it really is cohesive before you hit the add to cart button. If you are having anything custom made, make sure you get a swatch from the vendor you can add to the mood board, or if you're going to be retiling or reflooring, get little swatches of either the tile or the floor so you can add that to your overall design so you can make sure that everything is going to be cohesive. And once you have purchased your items, I would highly recommend adding these into your spreadsheet, tracking the progress if they've been purchased or if they've been shipped, and adding in the website link of where you purchased your item. Especially if you're working with clients, you're going to need to keep track of where you purchased all of the stuff, because you think you're going to remember, but you don't. And then if something gets lost in transit and you're like, did we order that from Crate and Barrel or Wayfair or Amazon? I don't know. Just keep all of those links in your little spreadsheet and you'll be good to go. A lot of the times I do the purchasing and receiving for my clients, so I can keep track of that and add that into invoicing later. Step 5 is designing in real space. You've made your purchases, you've tested out paint swatches, you've done your DIYs, your packages are starting to roll in. Now, when your packages come in, I know you're gonna be tempted to wanna pile them all up in the corner and then do a whole room makeover in one day. Don't do that. Open all of your packages as they come in so you can check for color, you can check for damage, you can just check that all of the pieces are there, because the worst thing, and I've done this before, is not check a package and you go to put it together and it's the wrong color or it's missing something. So open your packages as they roll in. Take progress photos, take before and after. So you're gonna thank yourself, you're gonna be able to look back on your creativity and say, I did this, I turned my vision into a reality, and I'm so proud of myself and I love it, because it's gonna be fabulous. Now, if you follow this video through all of the exercises, you gather all of your inspiration images, you get a clear and concise overarching theme, you nail down those 3 words, you stick to your vision board when you're designing, I have no doubt in my mind the space that you're gonna create is gonna reflect you and your unique personality, and you're going to absolutely love it. I genuinely hope by sharing my creative process, this video has helped you out and clears away some of that overwhelm that I know we can all get bogged down with. If this video has helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I would love to have you join my little family here in my corner of the internet. All right, guys, I will see you on the next one. Bye.